Well, that was great. It's always good to start with a laugh, and so I appreciate that. Definitely some good ones. I'll troll you on Twitter later on. We'll see how it goes. But overall, I was so excited when Louis asked me to come and to speak to you today, because what I tell you is there are things that people get geeked out or excited about. Some people love cars. Others love golf, fishing. I'm a little embarrassed to tell you. Mine is about experience, customer experience for sure. I like going to a website. I like trying it out, seeing what does that customer experience look like? What is chat? What does the bot do? And then I like seeing how other competitors are and then gauging how is this company doing? And when you look at the direct effect of that, I don't know, I'm from the Chicagoland area. When I go around Chicago, the mini malls are empty. The malls are a ghost town. It's like all the gals are in there getting their speed walk in, but nobody's really doing a lot of shopping or experience anymore. It really matters what you're doing from a customer experience. And then, like many of you, I'm in a position where we're working with employee experience now. How many of you guys have started to, feel the effects of the Great Resignation? So employees leaving, you're going to stores, you're going to restaurants, there's an issue with staff. It's a real problem. You go on LinkedIn every Monday, I feel like there's a smattering of who's now working for who and where are they going. And the reality is, employees have a lot of choice, and so the employee experience now matters more than ever as well. So today I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to start with this study by KPMG. And ultimately what KPMG did, they do this globally. This was for the US only. And what they did is they have 6 pillars of excellence. They looked at 11,000 customers. They went ahead and looked at 300 companies that they felt exemplified what an ideal experience should be. And here is what they came up with. So if we think about all these, I want each of you to think about where your company is on this journey, because odds are you're doing all of this. The question is, are you at the front of the pack? Are you starting to trend set and elevate in these areas? So personalization. People want to feel valued. People want to be known. People want to feel appreciated. So they want that kind of custom touch. Empathy. Boy, have we had to use empathy in the last 24 months over and over and over again. So how are we pulling in empathy into our business? Resolution. Even the best company falls down, has a problem. The question is, what do you do when there's a problem? How do you react? How do you get in front of it? What does that change look like? Expectations. So expectations, oftentimes, the assumption is what kind of sets us awry. We don't communicate. What's the timeline for a follow-up on service, a delivery? When will our product be warrantied through? What does all of that look like from an expectation standpoint? Time and effort, it must be frictionless. So I have a 20-year-old. She would rather TikTok you, Snapchat you, do anything digitally besides actually speak to you. Now, my father, on the other hand, the man's never used an ATM in his life. He has a motto. He says, everybody gets screwed in the drive-thru, Christine. He won't go through a drive-thru. He wants the human touch. He wants to talk. So I need to meet both of them where they want to be met on that journey, and I need to do it in a very quick and frictionless process. Finally, integrity. Integrity is bigger now than ever, right? Integrity comes to trust. It comes to loyalty. It comes to really stand up not only for your business, for your community, socially. People are looking at your brand in a much broader stance when it comes to integrity. So in the US, I don't know if anybody has any guesses, but what do you think if I were to pull the top 10 companies? What do you think are the top 2 of these that they have consistent? They do them all, but the top 2 that they consistently rated highest on. Anybody have any guesses? All right, you're being shy. I'll tell you. Integrity and empathy. Now, this was for the US. If Australia, as an example, was personalization and integrity, so people value different things at different times, but what you see here are the top 10 companies, and these companies consistently outpaced everyone. And again, 11,000 customers voted on this. 18% over on empathy for USAA. USAA is a 5-time winner. I'm not going to hit every one of these. I'll hit the top 5 for you, though, and kind of help you understand. USAA has really gone out to their policyholders and stressed about driving and accident prevention. They go ahead, they socially drip, they send out different incentives, they even have apps. They have decreased their claims so significantly that they just went and returned $520 million back to their policyholders because they've been able to decrease. The good news is they're doing pieces that are great. They're putting out information that is helpful. It's preventing accidents, but they're giving back. They're not taking all the profits and saying, you know, ha, 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 and running down to the bank. They're giving it back, and that creates empathy. It also creates integrity and loyalty as high values. HEB, I don't know how many of you know HEB. HEB is like a religion in Texas. This is their grocery store. If you go in or you go online, the cheese is cut like the state of Texas. The coffee is Austin and Sacramento, and it is a Texas theme through and through. Now, what I tell you is they believe they are Texans for Texans. And so the brand gives that. The store, the online experience is a pride in being a Texan. But what they've done is they've taken their food and they've started to feed the vulnerable. So they've looked in their community, and HEB donates extensively within the state of Texas. Additionally, restaurants are facing a gigantic challenge. They cannot staff right now at all. And so they can't cook and they can't output, and these restaurants are going to have to close. HEB is now creating prepared meals and putting those out to the restaurants so they can go ahead and get their food yield out faster. It's about integrity and empathy of understanding your region and understanding your customer. Chick-fil-A, I mean, say no more, right? I mean, we should just say Chick-fil-A and all of us should be like, oh, so good. What I'd say is amazing product, but their philosophy is you treat everyone as if they are the president. Whether that be on a rainy day, they want to follow me out to my car with an umbrella, or when I go ahead and I go through the drive-thru, every exchange ends with, it's been my pleasure. The whole idea is great service through and through. You are a valued member there. Navy Federal, I love Navy Federal. Navy Federal, like many credit unions, it's not about profit. That's not what it's about. What it's about is serving its community. So they will look at their technology portfolio, they'll look at the changes they want to make in the business, and they will put it in front of their members for the upcoming budget year to see, do you value and do you agree with these initiatives that we're driving towards? Additionally, what they'll do is they hire veterans and spouses of veterans. They say, we hire for attitude. I can teach skill. We hire for attitude. People like to do business with people that value them and understand them and look at the world through what their eyes say it is. And finally, Edward Jones. Edward Jones has done a ton with data-driven analytics. So they are really pushing forward right now and doing proactive reach out. So I told you I have one that's in college right now. She's breaking the bank, but I got 2 more that are waiting, right? I got a 12 and a 14-year-old. And so I'm constantly getting reached out with data analytics, driving me to what am I doing for my college fund? How should I be amping this up more? How should I be investing? What does this calculator look like? And so, yes, they want me to be their customer, but they're looking at it through my eyes, my situational eyes. So again, guys, we look at this. I could go on and on with these stories. I think the only one I'm going to hit here is number 6, an In-N-Out burger. Has anybody had an In-N-Out burger? They're good. They are good. They're especially good if the later at night they are, the better they are. But what I'd say about In-N-Out burger is In-N-Out burger pays $2 more than the industry standard for their employees. They have a continuing education program. They have social settings and hours and events for their employees. Because as we raised our hands and said, yes, we felt the great resignation, the reality is it all starts with the employee. If I have a happy employee, I can translate that. So as we look at this, Gartner goes ahead, also takes a lens at this, and they say 89% of companies now expect to compete on experience as the basis. Think about that. 89% say the experience, and now think about the human connection. Here we are together in this room. How long has it been? So much of it is online. So much of it is digital. And so we have to be hitting them at all areas. 59% say they want a tailored engagement based on past interactions. 70% say that they want service agents that are aware of the sales interactions, right? And are there to keep and value them in the business. 80% say that the company provides an experience is just as important as the product. So you might say, well, Christine, this is all great. Thank you for the kind of overview and the stories. Those are nice. Talk to me about what I do with this. And what I'd say is it does, going back to in and out, matter about the employee experience. And this one is one that, there's always that corny question, what keeps you up at night? Well, this one keeps me up at night. It does, because if we start to churn our employees, and it is a feeding ground. I'm sure each of you probably have 5 to 6 recruiters in your inbox right now that wants to tell you about the most fabulous job ever. It's going to be so much better, right? But the reality is people leave for a couple different reasons. Sometimes it's because they don't like their boss. I was just talking to a good friend, and she was saying, yes, sometimes they decide they want to do something different, right? They might want to make a career change all the way. But for many, it comes down to these areas. Lack of training and development. How many of us can either look within our company or listen to a friend that we're having a drink with on a Friday night telling us about their job and hear this? Poor communication between management and staff, inadequate staffing levels, that's a big one. Lack of recognition and more flexible working hours. The problem is when this breaks down, the rest of this breaks down. The productivity is down, which means the service is down, which means the loyalty, the satisfaction, and my profits. And so we have to find a way to make experiences for the customer valuable, but also for the employee. Now, I'm doing another one of these talks in California, and I'm with an analyst group that we're doing it. And they showed me their deck, and it was like really sexy tech. It was like stats and text and lightning bolts and all this stuff. And I'm like, it's real cold. It's real cold. There was no emotion. There was no heart. There was no experience. So think about it this way. An interaction is required to create an experience. Can we all agree with that? You have to have some sort of interaction that creates an experience, good or bad. And from that experience, we create relationships. Or, if you blow it, lack thereof. And so when we think about these things, I'm going to talk to you about a couple areas of technology that I would say are strong considerations for today. I could come up here and I could throw up technology on you all day long. I think if this foundation is not built, though, first going back to those 6 pillars and saying, where do I identify right now? Where does my business identify on this? How do I see myself doing personalization or empathy or whatever? If we don't have that as the baseline, tech's tech, guys. I mean, it really is. So I am going to say we started here. I believe this is at the anchor. But the areas that I would say I double down on right now, definitely AI. I've told my team this is the year of AI. I think it's going to be the years of AI, quite frankly. It's going to continue. But some of the areas for consideration that I would definitely say as we think about the experience. Customer assistance. So virtual chat bots, many of you have them. How many of you have talked to a real dumb bot? I mean, it is just looping you, not answering you. I told you, like, again, going back to I am a little weird and I am a little geeky. I went to a robot vacuum chat, and I made up a story. Like, my dog had an accident and the robot went through it and it tracked it around the house, and I'm in a panic. Like, what do I do? That bot was not smart. That bot did not give me good advice, right? So you have to start to think about, what are people going to be messaging me about? Why would somebody need an immediate chat on this bot site? And is it scenario-based? Is that an example of something you want to fine-tune? So if you have chat and bots today, congratulations, that's great, but how do you make them smarter? How do you look at the past messaging, transactions, buyers, demographics, purchase rates. How do you make those bots smarter in those areas and fine-tune them? AI-empowered agents. How many of your agents probably have a black belt in Kung Fu? They're like on 5 different screens, going all over the place, searching for things. You need one single pane of glass, and then we need AI to be dripping on them, right? So if I'm calling you about a kayak, you probably want to, A, know that I just bought a kayak. B, you probably maybe want to go ahead and drip some things about an upcoming sale, perhaps on life preservers or oars, as an example. So these are areas that the AI can drip to the agent. Again, what makes a happy agent? Something that enables them and makes it easier to do their job. Perfect example. AI routing. So again, back to me with my kayak. You guys can tell I want a kayak. But I call in, I got a kayak, and I go into the IVR. It identifies me by number, and it knows my agent's interests. And it routes me to an agent that also is an enthusiast of kayaking. And so he says, hey, Christine, are you calling about that kayak? How's it going? That model's great. That's our start off of the interaction. Well, no, actually, I'm not. I'm calling about this, but I love the kayak. That's a good soft landing. If it is that I like the kayak, then he can tell me about an upcoming sale or invite me to an event that's coming up. But that predictive routing on AI, guys, IVR modernization is the first one I tell you. Like, if your IVR is like press 1 for sales, press 2, with no voice recognition, no callback, and you're not dabbling in AI, please do something. Like, that is just the first front end, and I can't tell you how many people, like, I'll look at them and they'll be like, yeah, I know it's bad. I know mine's bad. But they just haven't fixed it, and it actually is a real easy one to get on the board. So that's another area. And then finally, quality management. So you have the ability to take the quality management AI and start to look at sentiment, start to look at key attributes, and really start to drive your customer experience in a different way. So this is an area ATC can absolutely help you with. Today you'll be able to talk to many of us, and I think several of the vendors will stress to you we believe in these areas, and we can help you in them should you need to. Another one. This one is huge, SMS proactive notifications. Look at these stats, guys. Higher open rates. SMS has a 98% open rate versus a 22% on average for email. Think about yourselves. Is that true for you? I know it's true for me. Faster open rate. SMS is read in 3 minutes. An email is read in 384 minutes. If you're in my email, you're not even read in that. I mean, like, it is scary in many cases how my email piles up and literally how I have to filter through. Decrease customer inquiries. So if you're able to proactively tell me where my furniture delivery is, if you're able to proactively tell me where I'm at on a warranty refresh or something of that nature, I don't need to call you. You're decreasing the traffic into your contact center. You're allowing your agents not to get tied up with high handle times, which, let's face it, handle times mean decreased revenue for each of you. So if we're able to be proactive with the SMS notifications, we can go ahead and negate a ton of traffic. And finally, the final piece here, 92% higher CSAT scores are available here by using messaging and SMS notifications. So think about these areas. They're not gigantic stones to carry up the hill, quite honestly. But they're areas that can improve the customer experience and, again, in many cases, the employee experience. So, I think it boils down to these areas. Know me, value me, trust me. We go back to those pillars. We think about where we fit in here. I want to be known. I want it to be a personalized experience. What does that mean? Okay, well, first off, we want CRM integration, and we want it tight. Okay, I don't still want to get basic bridge to Dynamics or Salesforce. I want deep layering. I want information readily available to my agent. I want that AI drip. I want all of that. I also want the predictive and direct routing, and I want omni-channel experience because I'm going to want to be met in a variety of ways. That's a great way to know me. A way to value me, proactive notifications like we just talked about with SMS. Another, an AI-infused self-service. Self-service is really big with omnichannel. We want to have that. We want to have callback. We talked about IVR, like callback. Such a basic one, and it is so valued and so important. And then high voice quality, right? It has to sound good. I don't want to sound like you're a million miles away and in a garbage can somewhere trying to talk to me and it's all garbled. I need that high voice quality. And then trust me. Again, remember, integrity was a high ranker. So in the end, think about the data that you keep like it's your mother's or your daughter's or somebody you like. The reality of it is you want end-to-end encryption in whatever technology you're choosing. You want data privacy. We don't want to sell people's data. We don't want to be loose with their data. And we want to have TCPA, HIPAA. We want to have all those right areas for you in terms of compliance. So these are the areas, again, we could list a million technologies depending on where you're at in the journey. But at a minimum, this is where we should be really identifying from those simple core values. And Ben, I know Ben is here. Where are you, Ben? There you are. We talked about this 2 years ago. I remember being on site, and it was like, how do we make sure that we're valuing folks and really not losing our brand in the process? So this one, I'm sorry if you have to squint. I think Louis is going to give you guys takeaways of the slides as well. If not, you're going to get the playback. But what I'd say is anything that is to the left, I'm assuming you're doing, and if you're not doing, I'm strongly encouraging you to get on the road. So what are those? Voice, IVR, digital channels, chat, email, workforce management, scripted automation, simple bots. So I feel like if we're in the race, we have these things, and now it's a matter of tuning, perfection. Where we should be growing and going to is what we see here with knowledge projection, guidance, optimized journey, intelligent automation, conversational AI. Again, if you guys want to see me geek out, let's talk about conversational AI. I mean, it is absolutely a game changer. But it's the old, you have to walk before you run. Let's make sure we're solid first on the far end, and then we can always grow and layer into these areas. But in the end, I loved coming here and talking to you each and having this experience to share my thoughts with you. Each of your brands are at different stages. You have different initiatives, you have different budgets, you have all different things that are facing you. But I think you can think of that 6-pillar chart and walk away and decide, are there 1 or 2 things that you could fine-tune or tweak that you already have in place that would improve the experience? And I want you to think about it for the customer always, but for the employee as well. Well, thank you all. I'm at the end of my time. I do appreciate today's conversation. I'll be out milling around. I'd love to talk to each of you more. I hope you found this information valuable, and it's been a great experience with each of you. Thank you.